major challenge with building this was having such a large model hold itself together while being sturdy and being able to transport and be good enough to be on display. I didn't want anything to fall apart. I didn't want anything to snap off or sag. So going in and making it structurally sound was by far the hardest part. Keeping the wings up at a dihedral, keeping the fuselage from sagging, all of that was definitely the hardest part with building this model. And I'm actually pretty proud of how I was able to do it because nothing broke when I put it together here today. I brought a Lego model of a VC-25, which is the presidential transport, also known by many as Air Force One, and it is a 140 scale Lego model. It's pretty big, and I'm happy to have it here today. I've always been a fan of the 747, so I said, okay, I have to build a 747, and after doing a little bit of research, the most famous 747 that most people would be able to recognize is Air Force One, with the beautiful blue color on the bottom and the blue on the top and the chrome wings. I feel like I just had to do Air Force One. So that's how I decided to do the Air Force One model for this. Instead of a more classic airline like Pan Am or KLM, I decided to go for Air Force One. When I was researching for this model, I discovered that Jackie Kennedy and Raymond Loewy helped to actually create the original color for this. Now, originally it was a sort of orange color in the front and chrome, and that just didn't feel very presidential. And Jackie Kennedy wanted something that would be very striking, be very recognizable for years to come, and they settled on this color scheme with a nice baby blue in the front, blue on top, and white all the way back, with simple lettering on the top. This color scheme has become iconic for Air Force One, and it's something that I tried to capture really well in this model. I'm actually really happy that this is being able to be displayed at the United States Air Force. It's a great honor to have one of my models displayed at the aviation museum in the country. That's pretty big. And if it were my model, if I were to just hold on to it, it would probably just end up in a box in a storage unit. So I think it's better to be able to share it with other generations, other people who might be interested in seeing it. And I think that's really important. I can actually share it beyond just my room, my Lego room. So I think that's really important. I think a lot of people here are going to enjoy it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how people respond to it. I think they're going to like it, and I hope they like it because I put a lot of work into it. I think it was all the way back in the early 2000s. I wasn't actually really that into it. I think I had a couple SpongeBob sets, but wasn't really that into it. I like making things with cardboard and like tape and that kind of stuff. It was really about 7 years ago where I started getting back into it, and I got back into it because I like aviation. I really like planes, and I also really like Lego, and I like building them. And it just sort of magically came together that I like building Lego planes out of Lego that I liked in real life. After visiting museums like this, where I get to actually see the planes in person, it really inspires me to actually go back to my house and build them out of Lego. So that's what I've done here. So over the last 10 years or so, 15 years especially, Lego's come out with more parts as they build more sets. And you can go onto websites like Bricklink, or you can just go to Lego Direct. Bricklink's sort of like an eBay for Lego parts, where you have individual sellers selling you parts that you may need, and you can get them in certain quantities and higher quantities if you want. But that's how I mostly sourced my parts for this model. I didn't buy sets or anything. I just bought the parts directly from Lego when I could, and from resellers when I couldn't get them from Lego directly. Most of the parts are not painted. So the light blue, all those colors are actually Lego colors. They are from the Lego catalog, so they do exist. This model is mostly everything you see on it that's like a logo or a number or even a stripe. Most of that is pad printed, so I actually have somebody in near where I live who can pad print the Lego. It's very durable. It doesn't fade. It doesn't peel. It doesn't do any of that. The silver part of it had to be spray painted, some parts of the silver. Most of those parts are real Lego, but whereas like the triangle curved pieces, I had to paint those because those parts just don't exist in Lego. But by and large, this is all official Lego. There's nothing really custom or painted with it. It's all stock, and it's something that you could get if you wanted to do this. So getting the folding stairs is pretty tricky because there's a lot of little pieces that have to fold into each other, and the whole thing has to fold in and be flush with the fuselage. But yeah, those stairs represent the stairs that the president would use when they don't have air stairs at the airport they're going to, or maybe it's rushed or they have to get on the plane or off the plane quickly. They can just fold out stairs directly from the fuselage that you go up through the cargo hold and into the plane itself without having to use air stairs. And I really wanted to incorporate that into my model. There's one at the front and at the back. Right now on display, I only have the rear one because at the front I have air stairs showing how it would normally board. But I really wanted to do that because it's one of the things that people see most when they see Air Force One and they see the president deboard the plane. I mostly build planes, so building a helicopter was a little bit different for me. But I gave it my best shot, and I'm actually pretty happy with how it turned out. It went with the dark green because I think that was the closest to the real Marine one. Now, usually you would see more than one helicopter with the presidential motorcade, but in this case, I just wanted to represent the helicopter in the overall display. And yeah, so this model does have folding props. It has all the interior, everything that goes along with it. Can't really show you at this exact moment, but just so you know, it does have that. And it is to the exact same scale, 1 to 40, as the model itself, as the main Air Force One. So I really like that because it adds a little bit more character to the model, and it adds a little bit more diversity to it, having a helicopter as well as the plane itself. So I think that looks really cool, and people are going to enjoy that. Now that I'm in school, I can't build as many planes this size, but I do plan on continuing building passenger planes. And once the parts are available, I do hope to build the original Air Force One, the Kennedy Air Force One, at some point. So I'm mostly waiting for some light aqua parts for the front of that. But once those come around, I do plan on building that. So I go to school at Arizona State as an architect major, and I know some people say, "Oh, why not aerospace?" So I like to build buildings as well. So I've decided to go in as an architecture major, and I'm really happy that I can transfer some of my skills from building these giant Lego airplanes into my future career. This plane was posted about 2 years ago on my primary channel on YouTube called Big Planes. It's just big in planes, pretty simple. And it's where I build other large models like this. And this is probably one of my most popular ones because a lot of people really like Air Force One and the 747. But if you want to see some of the other ones, I'm on YouTube, on Flickr as Big Planes, and then on Instagram as BigPlanes_official. So yeah, that's where you can find other builds as well as more pictures of this one.